Hi everyone! Welcome to Nekozuki Knits. This is episode 17 and it is October 27th, 2015. My name's Katie and I'll be your host for today. I'd like to say hi to any returning viewers and to welcome anybody new coming in. Really appreciate you spending some time with me. Today is going to be a little bit scattered probably, to be honest. Basically all I've done all month has been wool shows. So very heavy on the stash enhancement and travel talk, and there are actually a few finished objects and a couple other things. If you're here just for bag news, that's not going to be happening this episode. That will be a special side episode, like 17.5, either this weekend or early next week, simply because I haven't sewn anything new yet since Knit City. And I figured I would split this up because I haven't recorded in a month. I figured it would be good to get an episode out so that people, well, I've missed you all, so and I've missed the whole process of recording and everything like that, so I really wanted to get this done today. Anyway, so I will actually start with faux because you've seen the work in progress that I do have, although it's quite progressed comparatively. So one you've actually never seen either of these before. And sorry, everything's on the floor. I am back in my room though, which is amazing. I love it. I actually have floor space in here, not for long, but for a little bit. So I did talk about the stash enhancement for this one last time. This is the Renfrew hat by Jane Richmond, knit out of Tosh Merino Light, held double. And I love it. The colorway is Black Velvet. I did have to cast on more stitches because my head is giant apparently. But it's comfy. I like it. I knit up to the slouchy size, but it's not very slouchy on me. So I don't know if I'm going to go back in and take out some of the decreases and make it slouchy, but it actually looks really good with my hair down. I tried this with my hair up and it didn't work very well. This definitely needs a, you need to weave in the ends, and I need to soak in a block just to open up the cable detail up the side here. But I really enjoyed knitting it. I did it on the pattern size, and the only thing I changed is it calls for the worsted in the Madeline Tosh, and I use Madeline Tosh Merino Light, which is a fingering held double instead of the worsted. And so there's the cable detail. I love it. That's really the only place you can see that I actually held the strands double. But it really works really well and nicely with the variegated in this. Then the other one I finished, and this has been kind of a work in progress off and on for about 2 years, is I finished my calligraphy cardigan. This is the calligraphy cardigan by Hannah Fedig, and it's comfy. It's knit out of Baroque Vintage Decay, which is a wool acrylic nylon blend, and I wore this all week in Montreal and Rhinebeck, and it's barely pilled. You can definitely see it a little bit of around the chest area where it's obviously, I've got things sticking up. They rub. And a little bit under the arms, but nothing compared to a lot of wools. Anyway, super comfy. I love the collar on it. It's a nice tall collar. This was the 42-inch size, and what ended up happening is I finished it and the button band actually curled out like this. So I had to go back in, I tore out the button band, and I actually knit further from the body. Then I put the buttonholes in, and then I knit further away from the buttonholes so that there'd be more fabric on either side, so it hopefully wouldn't cause that curl, which seems to have helped. I also moved some of the buttons that I had put further out from this stuff, so it doesn't do it as much now. I might still go back in and install some snaps along the bottom, along the outside edge, so that what was I gonna say? So that it, I can snap it down and it for sure won't curl. But we'll see. I just wanted to wear the sweater. Basically, I counted it for my Rhinebeck sweater since I wasn't actually knitting one. And I will go into works in progress. So the first work in progress is the socks still. They're nearly done. I did Afterthought heels in a black. Well, sorry, not Afterthought heels, but short row heels in black. The cuffs are currently being done in black, and it is a design sock, so I'm not going to show you a lot right now, but they will be going up for testing here in, well, within a couple weeks, probably just after Calgary Fiber Arts Fair, just simply because I won't have much time to write up the pattern before that. These are my notes are over here. They are out of Online Super Sock 4 Fock, which is a 75-25 wool nylon blend. And yeah, they're for Dallas, so they're tall and they're like, there's a big foot. It's long at the top because he likes long cuffs. And basically I turned both the heels on the flight out to Montreal last week, and then this is all the I was around here probably when I was actually in Montreal, so this is Rhinebeck more or less, or the travel down there anyway. I didn't actually knit much there. And then actually probably about halfway up the cuff on the train, and then the rest is the flight back from Montreal. I had lots of travel time. I had it's a 4-hour flight out from Calgary to Montreal, and then about a 4-hour flight back, and we had to de-ice, so it was actually a little bit longer. And the train from Montreal down to Rhinebeck is 8 hours both directions, and I probably knit for about 4 hours going down, so I had 20 hours knitting time this past week, so I got quite a bit done, which I was very happy for. Didn't get stopped by security with my needles on the plane or anything like that, which was fantastic. I never have those, so I'm never too worried about it. I just leave it in my carry-on and don't draw attention to it so that it isn't a problem. And even like they swabbed my bag and everything this time, and no problems at all. I do make sure that I take a project that if it comes off the needles, it's not going to be a complete disaster, right? Like lace or something like that. Like honestly, if they pull out the needles on this sock, I would be upset. But I would be able to salvage it. It's not like heirloom lace or something like that that I'm taking. And then the other project that I have on right now is I did pick back up my spinning when I came home. So I'm currently spinning the Wacky Windmill out of Lethbridge, I believe. And this is a BFL nylon blend, 85-15. I am trying for a 2-ply sock weight, and I don't know if I'm gonna get it, but whatever. They might be heavy socks. I knew I could do a 3-ply, but what I did is I split up the braid into 2 halves because it's a 100-gram braid because we're in Canada, and then I split that braid into like long, thin pieces, as thin as I could. I thought that would work so that I could actually spin from it. And the prep's actually really helping. It is helping to make sure that it's nice and like, it's not quite, I'm not pre-drafting really. I'm just prepping so that like I don't accidentally get like massive chunks of fiber as I'm spinning. Oh right, and the last FO that I had was the super secret blanket. My friend Anissa got married last October, and basically this trip this year was just after her anniversary, so I finally finished her wedding gift. I gave her something like cash as well, but like the actual gift that I had been working on wasn't finished until Canadian Thanksgiving, the Monday before I flew out on Tuesday. So Monday the 12th. But it's done. She really liked it. It's the Modern Log Cabin Blanket by Anne Shane and Kay Gardner. It's the Mason Dixon girls. And it was out of Barocco Vintage, the worsted weight one. And yeah, it was super squishy. It's all garter stitch, so it took a really long time. The funny thing is that I actually had most of it done before the wedding last year, but then I got busy with prepping for Calgary Fiber Arts Fair, and I had a sweater custom order last year as well come in right around the same time, of course. And so I got most of the work done on the blanket in the first 6 weeks, and then it lounged for a year. But it's done now, and I am celebrating by doing non-obligation knitting, because really the most obligatory my design work is to myself right now. I'm not designing for anybody else. Well, I'm designing for you all, obviously, and but mostly for myself. It's much less obligatory, and I'm gonna try to stick to that besides some Christmas gifts this year as well, simply because then I can actually knit some things for myself. And yeah, I'm still trying to alternate between socks for me and socks for Dallas, but that'll be a little bit broken up because of Christmas knitting. So let's see, the last thing that I have before, well, no, there's a couple things. I'm currently reading The Queen of the Tearling by Erica Johansson. I did realize that I talked about the Sarah J. Maas book, the Throne of Glass series, twice in a row, but yeah, this is actually what I'm currently reading right now, The Queen of the Tearling. While I was away, I got to the airport and realized that I'd forgotten a book. So I grabbed Rue by Kim Thoy. She's Vietnamese, and I'm very sorry, it's not in my language grasp right now, unfortunately. And but it was interesting. Definitely an adult book. Nowhere near young adults at all. And basically, I couldn't tell if it was a memoir or if it was nonfiction or fiction or semi-fictional. But it was about this woman, basically in a refugee status coming from Vietnam just after the war to Montreal. And so everything that's kind of involved in that. Yeah, worth a read at least once. It was really cool that it was this woman in Montreal now. As I was going to Montreal, I actually really like that. And I'm sticking to my whole self-imposed guideline of only women authors for this year, which was totally unintentional at the beginning of the year until I started reading all women authors, and then I decided that I would stick to that. Okay, and then this week we're actually going to go into like kind of the miscellaneous chatter about the events and stuff, and then I'll do stash enhancement separate. So really, if you're just here for the knitting and a little bit of chatter, not as short as last time, but still pretty short. And so I will chat with you guys all later. There will be more information on the Ravelry boards when I actually post the shop update information. And after November 7th, I will be getting on to a regular schedule again. Please expect to see another podcast, either the 14th or 15th, somewhere in there. And then if you're here for the shop updates, regular updates after that as well. So yeah, if you want to stick around for chatter and stash enhancement, do so, and I will just grab everything here so that everything goes smooth. Okay, so the first thing, I completely forgot last episode, and I don't know how I forgot this, but I did actually get to take a class with the Yarn Harlot, who's, for people who don't know, she is actually the yarnharlot.ca. She runs a blog there. Her real name's Stephanie Pearl McPhee, and she does a whole bunch of, well, she's a knitting humorist. That's the best way to describe her, probably. And the class that I took was the Knitting for Speed and Efficiency, and now I need to learn how to lever knit, which is basically what she taught in the course, but I definitely need practice with it. Like she says, it takes about 30 days to develop the habit for it. So that was really cool. She doesn't come out west very often, at least not to Calgary. She is, I think, at least for the past 2 to 3 years, she's been out in Vancouver for Knit City. But of course, I couldn't really abandon my friend in the booth to go take a class there, at least not the first day, and they all book up there anyway. So I was really lucky to be able to take a class with her in Calgary. So yeah, if you ever get a chance, I would highly recommend taking a class from her for sure. And then, yeah, Montreal and Rhinebeck. So basically, I got back from Knit City. I had the rest week with Dallas. Thank you. Or I guess Knit City, right? I don't know why I skipped that. Knit City was fantastic, and I really do appreciate everyone coming up and saying hi. from Instagram, from the podcast, everything like that. You definitely made the weekend for it. It's a really high financial output show for me. And I will be returning because you did make it worth it for me. And even just the interactions with you all, it was fantastic, and I can't wait. I'm already planning what I'm going to do different for my booth and everything next year. Of course, if they'll have me back, but yeah, Fiona and Amanda are organizing, it's amazing. They did a really good job. I have absolutely no complaints about the show in the least. So I really enjoyed that. It was perfect weather, driving out, driving back. There's a few things I would do differently for my booth, and for myself. I think next year I'll probably drive out, and then Dallas will actually fly out and meet me, so we can have a little bit of a vacation out on the coast that week. But no regrets for the show at all. So thank you. I hope you all enjoyed that. Everyone who attended, I hope you enjoyed it as well. If you haven't been able to go, or kind of have been hemming and hawing about it for the past couple of years, I would definitely recommend it. The class lineup is amazing. The vendors are fantastic. I'm biased. I am, obviously, but there's lots of really good vendors there. And Saturday was packed. It was ridiculous, but awesome. And Sunday was a little bit slower. So Sunday's a good day to visit, but the one drawback to it is you do run into the whole people are out of stock on certain things. Obviously, the really popular vendors are. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. We did do my friend and I did the Clara Parks lecture, the keynote lecture on Friday night, which was hilarious. And educational, but she has a really good sense of humor, really good speaker as well, and she could command that room really nicely. So if you have a chance to either see the Yarn Harlot or Clara Parks keynote lecture, take classes, anything like that, both those ladies are very wonderful to hear speak or learn from as well. So yeah, highly recommend Knit City. Like I said, I'm already planning to go back for next year. So Knit City 2016, start watching the hashtag on Instagram. I know Fiona and Amanda do organize a couple other retreats throughout the year. So I'm sure any of those would go off with great success. And I wish them all the success as well, because unfortunately I can't attend all the events. Just some of them. And we have a special guest. Dahlia doesn't come in very often when I'm recording, but she's right here. She doesn't like being held, and she's not too sure about this camera thing. But that's our itty bitty black kitty. So I have dubbed October Dahlia Appreciation Month, since all the black kitty stuff is out right now. I do have to watch her really close here in the next week or so, but yeah, she's the other of the dork group, and they've been very glad that I've been home though, which is nice. So it looks like she's gonna sit here for a few minutes, interrupt my knitting. So let's see, I did Knit City, then I had the week off, and then I headed out to Montreal the day after Canadian Thanksgiving, so October 13th. My friend Anissa, like I mentioned earlier, is actually living in Montreal with her husband. She moved out there in earlier this year, mid-January or so, I think. I can't remember exactly, but it's been a long time since I saw her. Montreal is gorgeous. I haven't actually ever been that far out east besides transferring. We usually go southeast, like Florida, obviously, with Disney World. But it was really, really interesting. Very different from fall out west here. Really different trees, really different colors, all of that as well. What did we do? The first day, we actually went to Biscotten Sea. I'm sorry, I am not French bilingual. But that's in St. Bruno. It's about a 20-minute drive from Montreal itself. And then we went to a cat cafe. just fantastic. All their kitties were so adorable. And, sorry, just so she doesn't knock over the camera because the other cat's here too. They had 11 now. I think my friend was saying when she went earlier in the year there's only 8, and now they've added 3 kittens. And so that was really cute. And then we did, what else did we do that night? We did all of that. And then, but we did something special for dinner that night, but I can't remember what it was. Oh well. And then the next night next day we went up to, we went to the old port. What I'd done for Montreal is I'd rented an apartment downtown through Vacation Rental by Owner, and it worked amazing. I've never done that before, but I actually wouldn't hesitate, at least with this gentleman, to do it again, and I will definitely be going back to Montreal, so I have a feeling that's how we'll do it again if it's still available. And I'm sorry if you hear crinkling, but of course now the cats have discovered the plastic bags on the floor. So, yeah, the next day we walked up to Old Port. Like, that's how close I was. I was really close to metros and everything like that. We did Old Port, and we did the Basilica, which is like this massive Catholic church as far as I know. Down in just off of Old Port, and we did all the wandering back and forth along the streets. Again, very different, much older than a lot of the Banff area, but it still felt very much like Banff, which is strange and hilarious at the same time. But cobblestone streets, everything like that is really cool to see. What else was there? We did that, and then we headed up to Montreal. Yeah, so it's like, it's the chateau, so it's like this big massive viewpoint of all of Montreal and the river and everything. And that was the other thing, is I did not know how wide the St. Lawrence was, like, and it's massive. I thought that the Bow River was wide, and no, it has nothing on this river. Oh, that's what we did the night, yeah, the first night we were there, I was there, we went and we did the botanical garden light up. It was a light up of the Chinese and Japanese gardens, which was really cool too. One sec. Okay. There. Now the cat shouldn't get it. So that was really good, and we ate at the gardens itself. And then what else did we do? Where was I? The chateau for the viewpoint. I will definitely put photos of all of this at the end of the podcast. And then we went to a place called the Candy Bar. Candy with an I. Where they have Lady Lake stools. And all their drinks are like based on what I have. I had like Mr. Freeze or something like that. But they're really good. And highly recommend it, especially if you're a ladies group in Montreal itself. Really good atmosphere. Is a lady bartender, which was awesome, and very accommodating as well. Loved it. And then, so that was Thursday. Friday, well, we were packed up on Thursday night, and then Friday we left to get on the train. And we took the train from Montreal down to Poughkeepsie in New York State. Which is about half an hour outside of Rhinebeck, so we had to, because accommodation around the Rhinebeck area is definitely really like tight, we had to do it that way, and worked out fine. We rented a car and picked that up on Saturday, and the car was the most stressful part of this whole trip, which is a whole nother story, but booking this and organizing everything definitely has given me a much greater appreciation of the work that Disney does for us when we travel there with them, at least Disney World. But anyway, it all worked out, and we got up to the grounds around 9:30, which was really good, because around 10:30 it got packed. Like, yeah, it was crazy. I knew it was going to get busy, but I didn't think it was going to be quite that much. So yeah, we did that. Driving up, I saw a line that I thought was actually for the ticket booth. Turns out it was the Miss Babs line, which we figured out when we actually got into the barn and around. I have a feeling those people probably had about a half hour to 45-minute wait. It was crazy. So, let's see what else happened. Really enjoyed it though. Like, I'm already really excited to go back. It was my friend's first wool festival. She is a knitter. She just started last year, but yeah, first event, and I think Rhinebeck overwhelmed her a bit. She was really impressed, but definitely overwhelmed, which I can understand. Even I was just kind of like, ah. I did have my list, and I made sure to, I actually stuck to it really well, and I stuck to my budget, which I'm very proud of. And yeah, but there's lots of gorgeous stuff. I packed like my rolly carry-on, and then I put it in my like biggest bag just in case I needed more room coming home. And I could have filled that like massive bag before I came home. I didn't. I actually was still able to leave my carry-on, but thank goodness that everything packed down. So the super cool thing about Rhinebeck for me was like, same as Knit City, was all the people. And meeting people that I've only seen on video. And granted, you do get to know people that way as well, but it's still really cool to meet people face to face. And so, in that vein, I actually met Sue of Two Tangled Skeins and Lynn. That was really cool. And got a button from her for the Two Tangled Skeins podcast. And then I also met Amy Beth of The Fat Squirrel Speaks and Shannon of Minerva Turkey Knits. Minerva Turkey Knits podcast. Yeah, that's right. And we were both super fluorescent because it was cold even for a Canadian girl. It was super cold down there. I had a bright pink like windbreaker / raincoat on, and she had a bright orange Rhinebeck sweater on and bright purple hair, and it was fantastic. So I got a picture with her, and then we actually headed out pretty early and went to the Vanderbilt mansion, which was down the road, and it was cool. It wasn't open for, well, we weren't able to go for a tour, but the grounds were amazing, such a good view. So I'll definitely make sure to put some pictures of the grounds in at the end as well, because it was, yeah, super neat. And just like this random thing right on the side of the road. Two of my big complaints about this whole thing, the cell reception there is ridiculously bad. Like, even when I put like US roaming on my phone, and even though I had like 3 to 4 bars of service, or 5 sometimes, nothing would go and nothing would come in. So like, for me that was really frustrating, because that was the only way for people to keep in contact with us, because our wireless at our hotel was also terrible because it was an open network, so anybody could log into it. And talking to Dallas, we both probably think that probably a lot of like college students around there, because it is a college town in Poughkeepsie, probably log into the same system and hijack this signal. So yeah, it was, the hotel was serviceable. I think we'll do better planning next time before we go, so that we do get a little bit closer to Rhinebeck itself, like somewhere even within walking distance of the grounds, which would be really cool. Rhinebeck itself looks like it's a really cute little town, but with the influx of people coming in for the festival, it was so busy that we weren't able to stop. And the other thing that I found out about this like Hudson Valley area, and there was Hyde Park, New York, is that it's the home of Roosevelt, Franklin D. Roosevelt, which was really neat to find out. So the more you know. There's a cat down here again. 1 second. Okay. Lift her up for a little bit. She can come enjoy the wool fumes as well. Well, and the other cool thing that would have happened is if I had actually had like cell service around the grounds and stuff, there was a couple things that came up that I didn't know who they were. So like Clara Parks had been talking about Saxon Merino in her keynote lecture from a like farm. And I didn't realize it, but I walked into a booth that had Saxon Merino at Rhinebeck, and it was so soft, and they dyed it so pretty. It was like a dip dye. So one end was still the natural color, and then one end was blues and yellows and reds and all of this. And I found out that that was actually the farm that she'd gotten her bale from for her Clara yarn. So if I'd known something like that, like, I would have picked up a skein. And that's something I didn't find out until after I was like away from Rhinebeck on the train in serviceable Wi-Fi like conditions. So a few things like that would have been nice to be able to pick up on. But otherwise, really enjoyed the trip. Yeah, and definitely will be returning. I really want to try Maryland sheep and wool now. Partially because it's in a different area of the country, which would be cool. Different time of year. And I think a different crowd too, so. And I'm sorry if I didn't see you there. I really kept this low key. I realized as I was down there that I hadn't even announced on the Ravelry group really that I was going. And the last time I would have said anything about it on the podcast would have been the last episode, which has been up for like a month now. So I'm really sorry that I was so negligent in that. But hey, if you're in the Calgary area, come see me in November at the Calgary Fiber Arts Fair. I will be there for sure. So with that, like, let's actually get into the stuff, because I got some really cool things the last few weeks, guys. Now, okay, so there's two things that I actually forgot when I was recording last time. Well, a few things. One is, when we're in Kelowna, I actually got this really cool shawl pin by, I believe it's Bonnie Bischoff. And I really like the design because it's got this like hook on it so it won't fall off. And I've already used it. It's really nice. All handmade in the US. And I got that at Art of Yarn in Kelowna. I got my final shipment of the Sweet Georgia Yarn Club. And I think this is... sorry, Open Hands. And she's got the whole story and everything like that. It was the September shipment. This was actually my favorite colors that she's done since I joined. I did not rejoin it yet because I knew I was going to be spending lots of money on fiber elsewhere, so I just held off for right now. And then the final thing I did get in Kelowna is the Fabrius Fibers 3 feet of sheep. 8 ounces of hand-dyed blue-faced Leicester BFL wool top in the Tourmaline collection. As you can see here, it's basically just this gradient, and it's totally going to be spun by me into a shawl. Well, for yarn for a shawl. And sorry, the cat is on my lap still. She says hi. She's purring, so she's kind of happy. And then we'll go into what I got at Knit City. So, my like absolute requirement was that I had to get the Caterpillar green yarns. She was just actually across the aisle from me, which was really cool. Her lineup on Saturday morning, I'm so glad I pre-shopped like before everybody got in. But her lineup went from like her booth basically all the way to the front doors. Insane. It was amazing for her, like but yeah, super busy for everybody else. And I'm sorry I keep leaning off, but everything's down and around here. I've got to figure out a better system so I have like a table in front of me or something. So from her, my absolute must was the Merino Twist fingering in the classic striping in the Concrete and Tulips colorway. Absolutely had to have this one. If I hadn't, like, if I had come away from Knit City with nothing else, I would have been satisfied. But of course, I had to. The other thing that was on my, like, want list, but I didn't know if I was going to get it or not, was the shawl skein of it. Oh, I'm sorry. So the first skein is The merino twist fingering is classic striping, 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon. It's 405 meters or 443 yards. Fingering weight. Obviously, I guess merino twist fingering kind of tells you that. Then the shawl one that I got is NCN fingering, which is 70% superwash merino, 20% cashmere, and 10% nylon. And it's 548 yards and 548 meters or 599 yards. So, not having to pay shipping on these meant that I could actually get a couple skeins. And her updates are really hard to get anything in anymore after she got mentioned by the Yarn Harlot, so. And then the final one I got, because of the colors. Look at these colors. That's the other thing. Her color sense is amazing. Like that bright blue with these like grays. And yeah, just like absolutely fantastic. And this actually is her NCN fingering as well. Classic striping. But it's skyline with an extra ounce for an accent skein of blue. So she said one end that'll be winding will actually have more blue on it, and then you can use that. And I think it's like something, it probably is this right here. It's what I can use for like heels and toes, which for certain folks in the family is very important. But this is going to be a Christmas gift, so I'm not going to say much more than that. And then, okay, so, oh goodness, sorry. I was in between two I had nearly a prime location. You came in the main entrance for Knit City and turned right. And I was the second booth to the right after Sweet Fiber. So that was pretty fantastic. And I behaved myself very well around all of these vendors. Like I was right across from Tin Can Knits, and then I was right across from Caterpillar Green Yarns, and then I was right beside Sweet Fiber, and just really well behaved. But I did go to Sweet Fiber and get some of her neon jelly stitch rings. And if you've ever squished latex between your fingers in other situations, that's what this feels like. And then I also got the Knitter's graph paper book book. Knitter's graph paper journal. So basically it's the special squares, play in front, and then there's a whole bunch of information on the front and back covers on the inside as well. So like the standard knitting symbol cheat sheet and stuff like that. And then finally, always really liked Very Shannon's patterns. Lorelei, I saw a few of them there, but the one that I kept seeing walk around that I absolutely had to knit after seeing it was Bradway. And like, it's just squishy and awesome, and I can't wait to knit it. I don't have yarn for it yet, but hey, I've got the pattern, and these are really nice heavyweight patterns, which I have to appreciate, because that's always a hard thing right now for me, is deciding what do you print your patterns on. So like these are actual like booklets, like cardstock booklets, which is amazing. Lorelei's really pretty too. I couldn't leave that one behind. I probably won't do it in that color scheme, but I'm thinking pinks or something with a little bit of a neutral. And I think the Bradway, yeah, the suggested wool is Brooklyn tweed sweater. 6 skeins total, so that's not too bad at all. It looks like it's a really big shawl. Yeah, it's 70 inches across and 35 inches deep, and of course that depends on how much you block it, obviously, too. Lorelei looks like it's not the small shawl either. Yeah, it's 75.5 by 37 inches deep, so that's quite large as well. So that was Knit City. I was pleasant, like I had budget set in mind for all of these, and I was very pleased with how I did in all of them. And then in Quebec, We went to Biscotten Sea. I really hope I'm pronouncing that properly. She's got super cute cards. I used to be able to get this out in Canmore actually, but when Knit and Caboodle closed out, like there's no supplier out here anymore as far as I know. But I haven't looked up any of these colorway names. I know that this one is based on Snow White, and it's her Bissock. And it's 85% superwash merino, 15% nylon, and it's 400 meters, 435 yards. And this is sock weight, and it's striping, and I cannot wait to knit it. Based on Snow White. And what I'm trying to get to is I will look them all up and actually give you the colorway names when I do the show notes. The other sock yarn I got is this one. It looks like she's just changed her cards, because half of these have that one with the green, and then half of them have these guys. So that is her online store. She does sell online as well, but it is hand dyed in St. Bruno, Quebec. This one is 85.15 as well, same yardage. Ooh, this is self-striping. Oh, maybe the other one isn't. It doesn't say self-striping. Well, I'll knit it up and find out. They're going to be socks. This is going to be socks as well. Anissa actually got short skeins of this to knit her first pair of socks too. So we're going to have matching socks. And what I mean by short skeins are they have a bin that says 10 cents per gram, and so you grab whatever you want out of it, weigh it, and it makes up your stuff. So again, I love these colors. I love that blue in there. That's showing... It's a little bit more semi-solid than it, well, you can see that. It goes lighter blue here and stuff like that. It's got this really dark and lighter brown as well. Super nice. I really like the twist on these actually. Like on the yarn itself. And then finally I did get self-striping worsted weight, the Goblin. 100 grams is 160 meters, 175 yards. 100% superwash merino. Sorry, they're scratching the carpet. And this colorway is perfect for, I'm going to knit mittens for my jacket. Because my winter jacket's pink. Okay, so I actually only have about 14 minutes left, so I'm going to go through the rest of my Rhinebeck stuff really fast. So the first booth we stopped at, because it wasn't busy, was because Into the World was right across from it, and it was super busy. But I got loop bumps. Look at this gorgeousness. So it's 6.4 ounces, and it's got merino, bamboo, and tussa silk, and the name is Imaginary Friend. And actually you can see a few more of the colors down here. This is something that got squished in my bag, but oh my goodness, so gorgeous. So that was the first one that jumped into my hand. And then the second one that jumped into my hand is Esprit, and it's merino, bamboo, tussa, and Angelina, and it is 5.2 ounces. And look at that color. It's basically just a rainbow with black, but it's amazing. I love it. And this bright pink on the outside. I can't wait to spin these both. These will both be Navajo Pride because of the color gradient. I love the white in that in this first rainbow one. It's amazing. And then I was really good. We went by Into the World and I put stuff down, then I picked stuff up, and yeah, I went back and forth. Oh, I forgot something, but it's okay. I'll show you later. And then I picked up Coopworth locks. Just an ounce in this really pretty like raspberry color. That's pretty true up at the top there. From Winter's Past Farm. 1 ounce, 28 grams. And there's their, and I will link everything in my show notes as well. And they also had a felted silk kit, which I'm thinking it'll be good for gifting. And I opened my bag when I got back to Canada, and I was like, why does it smell so like floral? I must have sprayed something in mine. And then I realized that it was the soap in that felted soap kit. And at that booth, they had cookie cutters, which you can't really see. There we go. So I got a cap. And then a lamb. Lamb. Bah. And a sheep. Actual sheep. Super cute. I love them. So we'll be definitely having wool-themed cookies this winter. And then we went back into the world, and I'm really kicking myself because I had picked up the Rhinebeck Gradient to spin and put it back down because I was like, but at the time it was a good decision because I didn't want to spend all my money in the first 2 boos. And so when I came back, I actually knew what I had left instead of just all of it gone all at once. So I did end up with the Captain Tight Pants bat. It's 4 to 4.3 ounces. I'll have to actually weigh it. I haven't done that yet. And it's Falkland. And it's pretty. I've already pulled it out of the bag, so that's why it's looking a little bit mangled, but so squishy, and I'm super excited because I've never actually spun Falkland. And I've heard some really good things about it, so I'm really excited about that. They also give you this basically yarn porn, like, just look at that. And they also actually gave me a button, which made me super happy because I saw them sitting up on the counter and I was like, oh, if they'd, like, I was going to ask how much they were, and then they just gave me one. I'm like, awesome, I love buttons. That is something that I will definitely prepare for the next time that I go, is buttons for the podcast. And the last thing I purchased from them is Iroha Momiji. And just like the colors really remind me of Rhinebeck, like just, and Japan, because that's actually what it's based on, is a picture of a Japanese maple, or the Momiji. But like just those colors, especially this maroon in here. And my light's really not very good right now because I'm like recording while it's dark and I just have overhead lights on, and only 2 out of the 6 bulbs are actually on right now. But it's fantastic. I'll try and get some photos so that I can actually post this into Ravelry. But yeah, it reminds me of Rhinebeck and just like Japanese fall as well. And this is the Palindrome Paints Pokoku Sock. 100 grams is 460 yards, so I'm going to get a lot out of this. I'm thinking this needs to be a hat so that I can actually like wear it at Rhinebeck. And it's a 75-25 superwash merino nylon. That is the one thing I definitely think I will do for next time, is I will do the sweater, that's fine, but I need accessories in case it's too cold, like, because it wasn't, the temperature wasn't cold, but the wind chill was really brutal that day. So I'm thinking like hat and mittens would be much more serviceable in case it's too cold, or if it warms up too fast, then I don't have to be shedding a bunch of layers. Then finally, I got a little water painting. This is by Joan Arnold, and it's a black cat riding a sheep, and it's called Free Ride. It's a print. She did have one framed as well, but this was actually much easier to transport. I was really happy that it was there, and it'll be perfect in my craft room, so I just need to find it a frame now. And I'm well under my 14 minutes, so perfect. So this is not getting processed tonight. I am exhausted, so this will be going up probably around October 28th in the afternoon. And if you have any questions, let me know via Ravelry. You can find me everywhere as Nekozuki Knits. Ravelry, Instagram, Facebook, Etsy. Etsy shop will reopen on November 15th or 16th, depending on when I get all my photos like taken and processed. But it will be mid-November. And I will be at the Calgary Fiber Arts Fair, November 7th, 2015. It's at the Parkdale Community Centre, which is just down the hill from the foothills. And I will give you a link in the show notes to actually go to the website for all the information on how to get there and everything like that. Times are 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Saturday, November 7th. So I hope to see you there. Yeah, if you're a podcast viewer or Instagram follower or anything like that, come up and say hi. I always really appreciate it. It makes my day. Honestly, everybody who mentioned it at Knit City, it just made it more and more and more worth it. So I love hearing it. Gets a little bit lonely talking to a camera lens when just the cats are sitting here, but hearing that you do enjoy it or you watch it even, is really awesome. And yeah, like I said, it really makes it worth it. So I hope you guys all had a wonderful month, and I will be recording a little bit later this week with a preview of a small portion of the bags that I'll bring you, like new prints that I'll be bringing to Calgary. None of the restocks or anything like that. There are a couple that I need to do. And then, yeah, and then I'll record just before I do the actual shop update and give you a full rundown of what's actually going into that shop update, whether I've shown it before or not. Or if it's absolutely crazy, I'll just be like, you might just have to go look. We'll see how I feel that day. So yeah, I hope you guys all have a good few days, and I will talk to you all soon. This will be episode 17. The special update for Calgary Fiber Arts Fair will be 17 and a half, so it's not a mistake, it's actually what's supposed to happen. Thanks so much, and actually, happy Halloween, because I probably won't talk to you before then. I hope you all have a safe one, and if you have any little ones, that they get lots of candy that then they can share, right? Okay, bye.